There is a man, he has a wife, yet he is still cheating, and perhaps for a moment, you are asking, how can someone who speaks of love, commitment, and loyalty still betray? Let me answer this not with condemnation but with consciousness. In the deepest corridors of the unconscious, Carl Jung taught us that every individual has a shadow, a part of the self that is repressed, hidden, unloved, or unacknowledged. The man who cheats is not in control, he is a puppet to his own shadow. He chases illusion, desire, ego validation, not love. Every human being carries with him a hidden realm, a vast, uncharted psychological territory Jung called the shadow. It is composed of everything we reject, deny, or refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. And the more vehemently we push these impulses into the unconscious, the more powerfully they control us from the dark. When a man cheats, especially while committed to a marriage, what you're witnessing is not merely a lapse in morality. You're seeing the shadow erupting through deception. He is no longer operating from his conscious ideals, no longer guided by integrity or commitment. He is ruled by something deeper, darker, and far more ancient, the unconscious desire to feel alive, validated, and powerful in secret. Deception is not accidental, it is deliberate. And yet, strangely, it often feels involuntary to the one committing it. The liar lies, but he does not fully know why. The cheater cheats, but he cannot articulate the void he's trying to fill. That's because the shadow doesn't speak in language. It speaks in urges, compulsions, fantasies, and split-second decisions that feel irresistible. The momentary thrill becomes a sanctuary for a fragmented self that is too cowardly to face his own emotional poverty. The man who deceives is not just deceiving his wife, or the one he's cheating with. He is primarily deceiving himself. He has convinced himself that he can manage the consequences, that the mask will never fall, that he can keep both the image of good husband and the thrill of forbidden desire. But Jung warned us, the shadow, when ignored, does not disappear. It grows, it festers, it multiplies, and eventually, it demands expression, often through our most unconscious behaviors. Such a man may go years hiding behind charm, eloquence, or emotional manipulation. He may seem loving, devoted, spiritual even, but beneath the surface lies a part of him he has refused to meet, the unfaithful part, the restless part, the wounded child seeking to be soothed through lust, control, or conquest. When he refuses to confront it consciously, the psyche takes over. The shadow finds a way to act, and it acts through betrayal, secrecy, and contradiction. This is why cheating is not simply about physical intimacy. It is about a spiritual crisis, a failure to integrate the whole self. Until a man is willing to face his shadow, own it, and consciously bring it into the light, he will remain a danger to everyone he claims to love, and to those who have been hurt by this kind of man. Know this, the betrayal is real, the wound is deep, but it was never about you. You were simply the stage upon which his unconscious acted out its drama. And though you may suffer, you are not responsible for his unintegrated darkness. That is his inner work, his reckoning to face. Your path is to honor your pain without becoming it, to witness the deception, and in doing so, choose truth for yourself. Because while his shadow seeks expression through deception, your awakening begins with clarity. Within every man resides a feminine component of his psyche, what Carl Jung called the Anima. She is not a woman in the literal sense, but the internal image of the feminine, intuitive, emotional, receptive, nurturing, creative. She holds the key to a man's capacity to love, to feel deeply, to relate authentically, and to access his soul. But when this inner feminine is repressed, misunderstood, or unacknowledged, it becomes distorted. It turns wild. And the man, unaware of this powerful psychic force within him, begins to seek her in the world, chasing reflection after reflection of what he has failed to discover inside himself. This is the root of so much relational chaos. When a man, uninitiated into his own depths, begins to project his anima onto women, believing that they are the source of his emotional salvation, he doesn't see them as they are. He sees them as the embodiment of a longing he does not yet understand. One woman is not enough, because she never truly satisfies what he is actually seeking, and so he moves on to the next, and the next, in search of something he cannot name, the feminine within himself. Such a man may claim love, even speak of soulmates and spiritual connection, but underneath the words lies confusion. He confuses desire with devotion, intensity with intimacy. He mistakes the charge of the new with the depth of the true. Each affair becomes another mirror, a fleeting projection of his inner anima, which he has yet to integrate. The feminine he seeks is not out there, she is in him, but he is too unconscious to see it. When the anima is misaligned, a man becomes emotionally dependent on external validation. He is drawn to women who stir something deep inside him, not because he sees them clearly, but because they unknowingly activate a part of him he has not dared to meet. This is why cheating happens even when there is love at home. Because love, for such a man, is not enough to soothe the ache of incompletion. His soul is split, he is at war with his own inner world, and until he turns inward, no outer relationship will ever satisfy. He may idolize women, then devalue them. He may chase their energy, then blame them for his own emotional emptiness. He is not relating to a human being. He is reacting to a projection. The woman becomes a screen upon which he casts his fantasies, his unresolved wounds, and his need to be mothered, admired, or consumed. And when the illusion breaks, when she no longer reflects his internal anima back to him in the way he craves, he feels betrayed, disappointed, restless, and the cycle begins again. But understand this: he is not loving. He is searching, not for another woman, but for the missing half of his own soul. Only when a man confronts the anima consciously, through inner work, silence, introspection, and spiritual maturity, can he begin to relate to women with true presence. Only then can he stop using them to complete his psyche and instead meet them as equals, in truth and love. And for those who have been caught in the wake of such a man, understand that his betrayal was never about you not being enough. It was about him never having found himself. You were not loved as you are. You were seen as a symbol, but now you see clearly. And clarity is the first step toward liberation. Cheating is so often mistaken for passion, for desire, even for love in disguise. But to call it love is to confuse the sacred with the compulsive. It is not love, it is the cry of an unconscious soul, restless, fragmented, and starving for connection it does not yet know how to hold. Behind every affair, every act of betrayal, there is a spiritual emptiness that no partner, no pleasure, and no thrill can satisfy. A man who cheats is not overflowing with too much love. Quite the opposite. He is spiritually malnourished. His soul aches with longing, but he doesn't know what for. He may believe he desires a new body, a different energy, or a fresh start. But the truth is, he is searching for himself, for the lost parts of his psyche that he abandoned to go in order to survive, to perform, to conform. This hunger is not physical. It's existential. It's the gnawing sense that something vital is missing, something he cannot name. And instead of turning inward, toward self-reflection and healing, he turns outward, hoping that the next woman, the next connection, the next secret moment will fill the void. But it never does. Because the void is not external. It lives in his unconscious. Jung taught that when the soul is ignored, when the deeper truths of the self are silenced, it will find expression in distorted ways. Cheating is one such expression. It is the psyche's desperate attempt to feel alive, to reconnect with desire, to break free from a numb, controlled, or repressed life. But what starts as escape soon becomes entrapment. The more he feeds the hunger with deception, the more it grows. And so the pattern repeats. The man may tell himself stories to justify the betrayal. I wasn't happy. She understands me better. I deserve more. But these are illusions meant to avoid the deeper truth, that he has not faced the deadness inside him, and he is using others to avoid doing so. Love does not betray. Love does not lie. Loves not fear the truth. Cheating is not born from too much love, but from too little self-awareness. And what he seeks in the other woman is not really her. It's the spark she temporarily awakens in him, the forgotten part of his soul that stirs when he's around her. But because he is unconscious, he confuses that awakening with love. He believes she is the answer, when in fact she is only a mirror. He is not evil, but he is lost. And the tragedy is this: no matter how many people he touches, he will never feel touched until he reaches into himself. No matter how many times he is desired, he will never feel desirable until he learns to love what he sees in the mirror. Without illusion, without denial, without performance. To those who have been hurt by such a man, remember, his cheating was not your failure. It was the manifestation of his unresolved hunger, his spiritual blindness, his emotional immaturity. You were not the reason. You were the witness. You cannot heal a man who does not know he is starving. You cannot be the light for someone who is addicted to chasing shadows. And most importantly, you must not confuse his hunger with love, because true love is rooted in wholeness, not in lack. And when a soul becomes conscious, When it begins to see its hunger for what it truly is, healing begins. But until then, cheating will never be love. It will remain the restless howl of a man disconnected from his own soul. There is a voice inside you that speaks without words. It doesn't scream. It doesn't argue. It simply knows. This is your intuition. What Jung might call the whispering of the self. The deep intelligence of your unconscious trying to break through the noise of social conditioning, fear, and desire. While the world trains us to prioritize logic and appearances, your intuition operates beneath all that. It is ancient, it is sacred, and it is yours. In relationships, especially those that hurt us, this inner compass often gets silenced first. You might have felt it, a subtle tension in your body, a flicker of unease, a quiet doubt you pushed away. You told yourself you were overreacting, being paranoid or too sensitive. You tried to be understanding, to give the benefit of the doubt. But the truth is, your soul was already trying to tell you something isn't right. When someone is being unfaithful, when their words and energy no longer align, your intuition feels it before the facts reveal themselves. You may not have proof, but you feel the absence of truth. A growing hollowness in your connection, a presence that seems distracted, eyes that no longer meet yours with the same depth, affection that feels forced. And though your mind tries to rationalize it, your body carries the truth like a quiet HE. This is not paranoia. This is perception. Jung believed that the unconscious communicates through symbols, dreams, synchronicities, and sensations. Your intuition is how the deeper layers of your psyche, those attuned to truth far beyond the conscious mind, alert you, not to scare you, but to awaken you. Yet most people have been conditioned to distrust this inner guidance. We were taught to value evidence over instinct, to doubt ourselves before we ever doubt others. And so we dismiss the very compass designed to lead us back to wholeness. But here's the truth: intuition is not vague. It is precise. It tells you when your boundaries are being crossed, when love has turned into manipulation, when presence has turned into pretense. It is the soul's radar for authenticity. And the more you ignore it, the more disconnected you become from your own power. The betrayal may have shattered your trust in others, but let it rebuild your trust in yourself. Because long before the truth came out, you knew. You always knew. Not in the way the mind knows, but in the way the soul remembers. That knowing is not a curse. It's a gift. It is the inner voice of yourself pulling you out of illusion, pushing you toward alignment, and calling you back home. So now, as you heal, let your intuition become sacred again. Let it guide your choices. Let it protect your peace. Let it speak, and this time do not silence it. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are simply waking up to what you already knew beneath the surface. And the next time something feels wrong, even if it looks right on paper, listen, because intuition is not a weakness. It is a spiritual compass for guide from your connection to the divine within. And when you follow it, you are never lost. Pain can make you forget who you are. Betrayal, especially by someone you trusted and loved, has a way of reducing you, shrinking your sense of self, distorting your reflection in the mirror. In the aftermath, it's easy to feel like a victim. After all, you didn't ask for this. You didn't deserve it. You gave love and received deception. You opened your heart and were met with betrayal. But Jung reminds you, even suffering has a purpose within the great architecture of the soul. You were never just the recipient of pain. You are the carrier of its potential, the one who can choose to alchemize it into growth, wisdom, and power. This does not mean denying what happened. It does not mean excusing the betrayal or pretending it didn't wound you. No, it means that you are not defined by it. It is part of your story, not the end of it. To view yourself solely as a victim is to remain stuck in the very trauma you long to escape. It is to give the betrayer continued power over your life. But to shift your identity from victim to catalyst is to reclaim your agency. It is to say, yes, this happened to me, but it will not be the thing that ends me. It will be the thing that awakens me. The human psyche is not fragile. It is built to break and rebuild, to fall and rise, to die symbolically many times before it learns how to truly live. What you are experiencing now is not just heartbreak. It is initiation. You have been thrown into the fire, not to be burned away but to be reforged. Something old is dying, and something deeper, more honest, more whole is asking to be born. Jung said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That is the essence of transformation. Not avoiding the pain, but meeting it fully, understanding what it came to teach you, and rising with that knowledge carved into your soul. The betrayal, as cruel as it was, exposed something, not just about the other person, but about yourself, what you have tolerated, where you have abandoned your intuition, how you have underestimated your worth. You are not powerless, you are awakening. The one who lies and cheats operates from unconsciousness, but you, if you choose to step into awareness, can use this moment as fuel for your evolution. You can transform suffering into strength, heartbreak into boundaries, loss into liberation. You can become the living proof that the soul is not broken by pain, it is sculpted by it. And so the question is not, why did this happen to me? The question is, what will I do with what has happened? You are not a victim. You are the alchemy. You are the one who turns betrayal into clarity, who turns pain into purpose, who walks through the fire and emerges with eyes wide open. You were not destroyed, you were revealed. And now, you are becoming someone who will never again settle for less than truth. Not because you are hard, but because you have finally remembered who you are. You can reclaim your soul from the entanglement of betrayal. You can become whole. Use the pain as fuel, use the tears as cleansing, and rise not with vengeance but with vision, not with hate but with healing. Because while he remains asleep in the illusions of his unconscious cravings, you are awakening. And this is the beginning of your true power.